Raiders breaking news. The Las Vegas Raiders have signed defensive end Kwity Paye to a 3-year, $48 million deal, $32 million guaranteed. My name is Mitchell Renz. You're watching the Raiders Report, and coming up here on today's show, I'm going to tell everybody that comes across this video why the Raiders signing Kwity Paye was a smart move for the Las Vegas Raiders. And here's why I believe it's a smart move. You got to look at option number one. You got to find your Maxx Crosby replacement. You're not going to be able to replace Maxx 1v1. What do I mean by that? One player is not going to equal Maxx Crosby. But does everybody agree with the standpoint of Maxx was much better in the running game than he was at being able to get after the quarterback? Because I personally think so. Paye is a good edge rusher, a good defensive end in a 3-4. He's going to be able to put his hand in the dirt. He's also going to be able to stand up from time to time. He is going to be able to, though, to go out and get after the quarterback. Only 4 sacks this past season. He did have 8 sacks in 2024. He had 8.5 sacks in 2023, 6 sacks in 2022. But by going out and signing Kwity Paye for only $16 million per year, I'll admit, slight overpay. Slight overpay. It's a little bit more than what I would have liked to have been able to get him. But by the end of today's show, I think I'm going to be able to convince all of y'all that this was a smart move for the Raiders. When breaking news happens, I hope you hit that subscribe button. If you're watching this live right now, we got over almost 6,000 people here in the building. Free agency, draft coverage, whatever it is, I'm always going to do my best to keep you guys up to date. I got a little tickle in the back of my throat. Giggity. So again, Kwity Paye, good at being able to get after the quarterback, but he's good against the run. Finding defensive ends in a 3-4 that can stop the run, I do think is really important, and that's why this is one of those smart moves. Let's go to reason number 2 here. Why I believe that this is smart. Maxx Crosby, high-caliber character player, right? Replacing Maxx, his leadership ability, it's not going to be an easy thing to do. So the Raiders, they go out, they bring in Paye, somebody who played college football at Michigan. You know John Spytek, you know Tom Brady care about their Michigan ties. But it's also a familiarity standpoint. Bring in a brand new regime. You're learning a brand new defense. I think the Raiders and this brass want to know players that they can count on and players that are good leaders. So you get a guy that can help the run. You get a defensive end that can get after the quarterback. You get a high-character player that comes from Michigan that knows what is important about being a good teammate and being a part of a system. That, to me, I do think is important. So you get the fact that you're finding a high-caliber character player. You're getting him at a reasonable contract, but you're also getting him at that ability to be able to stop the run. So you add some of that involved in everything else that the Raiders have done today. You get another starter, right? One of my number one things I said that's important for the Raiders to do by trading away Maxx Crosby is you need to turn one player, Maxx, into 5 other potential starters. The Raiders have done a great job today finding other starters. Kwity Paye, going to be a starter. Eric Stokes, starter. Taron Johnson, starter. Jalen Naylor, starter. They are adding starters left and right to this spot. So what I want to know from the nation is this. Grade the signing of Kwity Paye joining the Silver and Black A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know down below. My answer, this is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. You're about to get in with a YouTube ad break. While that ad is playing, I want you to scroll on down, give me your answer, because if you show me yours, I'll show you mine. Sorry, it's not going to be a D. It's going to be a B, and that's the grade that I'm going to give Kwity Paye and the Raiders because of the fit, because of the replacement to Crosby, because of the high-caliber player, what he's going to be able to do on this defensive line. It's really going to be able to help us out. He's also been healthy throughout his career. That's another big part, right? Like, you're looking at a guy, Broncos just re-signed Alex Singleton. He played in 17 games last season, 16 starts, 75 games played in his career, 74 games started. At 6'3", 295 pounds, he's a younger player, 27 years old. But did you notice? It's another 3-year contract. And this Raiders organization is doing a lot, and I mean a lot, of 3-year deals over and over and over again, which tells me that I think that they're saying, hey, Klint Kubiak, hey, John Spytek, you're going to be really a part of this 3-year regime is what that this Raiders team has given them. They're saying it's 3 years. And I'm excited about the next 3 years because that means it's Fernando Mendoza time. and they're going to be tying a lot of these players to Mr. Mendoza. Let's also look at some of these other numbers here on the Raiders report. 2024 and 2023, really 2023, I would say, for Paye is by far his best year. I know we don't have the PFF grades, but in 2025, 59.0 overall PFF grade with a 56.8 pass rush grade, 65.8 run defense grade. But in 2024, 66.8 overall grade, 2023, 74.3, 2022, 69.6, and then as a rookie, 69.6. Bottom line is we need consistency. And when you move on from Maxx Crosby, you got to know that you're getting some consistency. And you're going to get consistency here from Quitty, a guy that's going to be able to play for you a lot of snaps, a player who has been healthy, somebody who's played 721 snaps last season, 667 the year before that, 700 in 2023, 547 the year before, 638. The Raiders signed a defensive end that can stop the run, that it has 16.5 sacks in a 2-year sample size from 2023 to 2024. High character player, Michigan ties, and you got that at $16 million. And he's healthy, and he's probably going to be able to give you another 600, 650, 700 snaps in total. I like this move for the Raiders. I think it is a smart move for the Raiders. I think it is a good move for the Raiders. Replacing Maxx Crosby 1v1 is almost impossible. But if you add a few more Kwity Payes, it's really going to help us stack up, and he's 27 years old. To me, I think a lot of times 27, 28, 29 is really the peak for defensive ends. Max is 29. Kwity Paye is about to be 28. I think it's a good little switch of pace. So I think Paye is better than Crosby? No, nobody's trying to say that. But I think it's a smart move for the Raiders. Speaking of smart things that you guys should do, you guys should go get started with our sponsor here, Chubbies. Make sure that you use promo code ChatSports down below to take advantage of the deal. Also, that link's going to be available down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. I love Chubbies shorts. Also, though, the Raiders shirts, if you've ever seen me wearing them, I've had them before on the program. They're perfect for work, golf, the pool, literally any occasion. The trunks are supportive, comfortable, designed to say, see you never to chafing, engineered with 4-way stretch fabric that handles swimming laps just as well as it handles lounging poolside. Seriously soft, dangerously flexible, and incredibly quick drying, especially for the trunks. I like the way that my legs look, and my wife says, hey, I look pretty good in the shirts too. Chubbies is celebrating 15 years, so the original shorts have refined, proper length. They're back. Same iconic fit, same comfortable first design, and same easygoing vibe. And for everybody who's listening right now, we do have a limited time deal. Chubbies is giving our listeners 20% off with code ChatSports at chubbyshorts.com. That's 20% off your order with code ChatSports. Give your thighs the VIP treatment that they deserve with Chubbies. Support the Raiders Report. Tell them that we sent you. And again, 20% off, promo code ChatSports for some Chubbies shorts. If you work out your legs, let people know it. Sky's out, thighs out. I subscribe to that idea. I know you guys never see my legs, but personally, I think everything from my belly button down is a lot better than my belly button up. Giggity. Here's what the Raiders have done so far in free agency. I'm going to count Taron Johnson on this list just because it was a trade late night. You signed Eric Stokes today, 3-year, $30 million deal, starting corner, starting nickel corner. Tyler Linderbaum, best deal of the day for the Raiders, is a little bit of an overpay, but again, this says Genty, Bowers, Mendoza, Klint, Kubiak investment, 3-year, $81 million deal. Jalen Naylor, I think personally he is a outstanding wide receiver 3, good wide receiver 2. Based on what we have right now, probably a little bit more in that wide receiver 2-3 range as it stands, but he's got $23 million. Now you go out and you get Kwity Paye, 3-year, $48 million deal. Starter. The Raiders have added 5 starters to their team, 3 on defense, 2 on offense. And now that you have the number 14 overall pick, possibilities, man, are becoming very, very interesting. I'll tell you this. We could do an entire show where that's the only thing that you show up on screen. 8 minutes straight of us just staring, drooling, admiring the Raiders' offensive line now with Tyler Linderbaum. Hell, I've said it probably 100 times on this show. The Raiders basically gave up 2 first-round picks. The Raiders and Ravens, the way that I'm looking at this trade is essentially like 2 firsts and Tyler Linderbaum for Maxx Crosby based on how the money ended up working out. But big-time move here for the Raiders, going out and getting Kwity Paye. Jalen Nailor, we just did it from the easiest standpoint from a graphic. We put him at wide receiver 3. We ended up dropping down Tyler Lockett since he's a free agent. So I actually, and I'll keep saying it, I think Jalen Nailor is closer to the wide receiver 2, and I would put Jack Besh as the wide receiver 3. But then again, it's going to be a competition. Then on the defensive line, you have Kwity Paye now as your defensive end. I still want to see more talent being added here, but because Paye can play defensive end, I do forecast the Raiders looking at some edges, looking at some linebackers, especially in the draft, especially in free agency with some of the money that we have left to be able to spend. But Kwity Paye, I just want to say this, man. Welcome to Raider Nation. I think that this is a smart move for the Raiders. I'm going to give it a B grade overall because it's a 3-year deal, $16 million for a good run-stopping defensive end that can get after the quarterback, that's been able to play a ton of football games, a dude that's known as for being a high-character player, a guy that loves football. At 27 years old, he's going to get a really good opportunity. And I'm excited to see how that opportunity ends up going down. Also, the Chiefs gave Travis Kelce an extension, $12 million in the year 2026. So Travis Kelce, we already knew he was coming back. We didn't know exactly what the price tag was overall. But interesting, man. Interesting. Again, Paye's not going to light it up in terms of being able to get after the quarterback. I just saw a stat that's not very good for him. 4.5 pass rush win rate, which is like literally the worst at the defensive end position. But he is a lot better against the ground game. I'm also hoping that maybe Paye in the right system with the right guys around him can go back and look at the way that he did in 2023 and in 2024. So as it stands right now, I've kind of walked through a bunch of the Raiders' moves, and I want to know how happy you are based on the first day of free agency so far. Scale it from 1 to 10. 1, you're not happy at all in the Raiders' moves today. 10, you are absolutely ecstatic. My answer is going to be coming up here in just a moment, but I think you got to look at the entire picture. And as it stands right now, my level of happiness, I am a 10 today. Don't get me wrong, if the Raiders go out and they sign a Devin Lloyd, if the Raiders go out and they sign another big-name guy, I'm going to be even happier. The Raiders could have signed Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, and Goofy. The fact that you signed Tyler Linderbaum, I'm a 10 today. And I am really, really happy about some of the moves that the Raiders have made. We needed starters. We have 5 extra starters. We still have plenty of money to be able to go out and spend. We got my number 1 guy. We made the investment that I wanted to be able to make. And I do. I like these moves that the Raiders are making. To stay up to date with all things around the silver and black, give me a follow on IG. Give me a follow on Twitter. I'm at Mitchell Renz 365. I've been FaceTiming some people today. So if you're not watching this video live, to the 5,600 people, appreciate all y'all tuning in live. If you're missing this Raiders party, let's get this thing going. We've been live for almost 7 flipping hours. Be a hell of a time to start a shit show. Hell of a time to start a shit show. Hey, Quitty Pay, welcome to the nation.